The coronavirus pandemic in the country might last until January 21 if no intervention is done.
Ang atin pong mga bakuna na sinasabi would take about maybe 6 to 12 months or maybe 1 year to 1.5 years pa ho bago lumabas siya mga bakunang dinidevelop sa iba't ibang bansa.
Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeire adds, this is why the Health Department continues to remind Filipinos of physical distancing, avoiding mass gatherings, and frequent washing of hands. A separate study of the University of the Philippines says coronavirus cases in the country may peak from the end of April to June, with around 140,000 to 550,000 people infected in Metro Manila alone. There are 4,932 cases of COVID-19 in the country as of Monday, April 13, with 242 recoveries and 315 deaths. The Labor Department, meantime, reports over 1 million workers are now displaced in the country due to the lockdown. Workers in the formal sector were affected either due to the temporary closure of establishments or the flexible work arrangements their companies resorted to. More than 12,000 overseas Filipino workers are repatriated in the country as of Monday, majority of whom were seafarers stranded aboard cruise ships and in various countries due to travel restrictions. Meantime, there will be no graduation rites in the country due to the coronavirus pandemic, as mass gatherings are prohibited in the country. Education Secretary Leonor Briones says Monday, I know this is a cause of disappointment for all the families, but at this present condition, we cannot allow it. But she clarifies they are not canceling the graduation, but only postponing. Briones herself tested positive for COVID-19 on April 8, but announced Monday morning she already tested negative. Lawyer Harry Roque is once again the spokesperson for President Rodrigo Duterte. Secretary Salvador Panelo confirms this Monday, April 13. Roque assumes the post from Panelo, who became spokesperson after Roque decided to run for senator during the 2019 midterm elections. He bowed out of the elections after 4 months. Roque last stood behind the spokesman's podium in October 2018. Panelo says he will remain as Duterte's chief legal counsel and Roque will resume his role Monday afternoon. Panelo adds, Roque was reappointed to his former post as the present crisis requires a new tack in messaging. Roque was widely criticized for defending the Duterte government on issues that contradicted his personal stance as a human rights lawyer before joining the government. During his first stint as spokesman, Roque told Rappler that he ceased to have personal opinions when he spoke for the president. The Department of Justice orders the Bureau of Corrections and the Board of Pardons and Parole to fast-track the release of elderly and sick inmates. The DOH says it gave the order before the outbreak. At least 22 prisoners, also called Persons Deprived of Liberty or PDLs, asked the Supreme Court on April 8 to release them on humanitarian grounds. The House of Representatives Justice Committee also recommends the temporary release on bail of low-level offenders and sick and elderly prisoners. The Department of Social Welfare and Development says Sunday, April 12, staying in crowded jails will expose the vulnerable PDLs to greater risk of contracting COVID-19. But Bucor authorities assure the public they have set up protocols against the virus. Bucor spokesperson Gabriel Chaclag says isolation areas for flu cases have been established and disinfectants and protective gear were distributed to PDLs and personnel. The World Health Organization warns countries against lifting lockdown restrictions too early. Governments are under pressure to keep populations safe while preventing the collapse of their economies. The International Monetary Fund warns the world will see a downturn not seen since the Great Depression. In Spain, some factory and construction workers are set to return to work Monday, April 13, with police ready to hand out face masks at metro and train stations. Italy reports on Sunday, April 12, its lowest coronavirus death toll in more than 3 weeks. There are 1.8 million people infected with COVID-19 in the world as of April 13, with 114,000 deaths and 395,000 recoveries in 193 countries and territories. In the United States, Anthony Fauci, the veteran pandemic expert who quietly sought action to stem infections, says parts of the country can begin gradually reopening in May. But Fauci warns it would not be like a light switch with the entire country ending restrictions together. In US politics, resurgent Democrat Joe Biden is denied the climactic rollout his predecessors enjoyed. His predecessors Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton both kicked off their White House races before thousands of supporters and thunderous applause. Like most Americans, Biden is under stay-at-home orders due to the coronavirus. He is now the party's de facto 2020 presidential nominee and marks the occasion with a press release and comments broadcast online from his basement. Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli performs a solo concert from an empty Milan cathedral streamed live to millions of people around the world Sunday, April 12. The Music for Hope performance, streamed on YouTube from Milan's Duomo Cathedral, has been watched more than 22 million times so far. In the Philippines on Easter Sunday, various lights and sounds businesses in the country participate in a nationwide We Light as One lighting campaign. The goal is to shine the light and to honor Filipino frontliners in the fight against the coronavirus. The organizers also hold a fundraising campaign and raised at least 1 million pesos to support healthcare workers in the front lines.